Hello dear students, welcome to our program for Chemistry 3 Secondary Stage. أهلا وسهلا بكم في حلقة جديدة من برنامج الكيمستري للصف الثالث الثانوي. النهاردة هناخد جزء جديد وإن شاء الله نذاكره كويس زي الأجزاء اللي فاتت بالظبط زي Chapter 1, Chapter 2. Let's go to see our program today. Concentrate with me very well. Let's go. Today we have electrochemistry. What's meant by electrochemistry and how can we use this type or branch of science in our life? Let's go to start. What's meant by electrochemistry? It is a branch of science. Concentrate with me very well. It's the branch of science that care for studying the exchange conversion between chemical energy and electric energy. For example, if I have the electric energy, I use it in our home. But this electric energy that found in what? Or produced by what? Produced by chemical reaction or a type of chemical energy that we use it here. So the electrochemistry again, it's the branch of science. It's important to know every definition, any definition in your chapters. It's important to study it. Electrochemistry again, last time, it's the branch of science that care for what? Care for studying the exchange or converting between the chemical energy and electric energy or vice versa. So we can change electric energy into chemical energy in some kind of reaction. And after that, we have through what? Through oxidation reduction reaction. Again, it's like the song زي الأغنية بالظبط. Through oxidation reduction reaction. What's meant by this? And what's the word oil rig? Oil rig, it's a symbol of some sentences. Such as what? Such as oxidation is loss of electrons. OIL. Oxidation is loss of electrons. It means oil. علشان ما ننساش أي جملة موجودة معانا أو أي expression موجود معانا في الكيمستري عموما لازم أعمل اختصارات في بعض الحاجات زي ما هشوف دلوقتي. Oil rig, it's the oxidation is loss of electrons. OIL. And in other words we have reduction is gains of electrons. It's very easy. Reduction is gains of electrons. So here the meaning of oil rig. After that, we have the spontaneous redox reaction. What's meant by redox? It means what? It means the oxidation reduction. Red from reduction and ox from oxidation. So we can be expressed by the following reaction. What's the reaction here? So here we have Zn plus Zn, it means zinc, plus Cu plus 2 iron. It means a copper ion, copper plus 2 iron. It's found in any solution like copper sulfate, copper carbonate, copper bicarbonate, anything of these salts. In a solution, it must be found in the solution. Give us what? We have from the third preparatory, we have what? We have the zinc is more active than copper, so it can replace the copper in its ions, in its compounds. So Zn change into Zn plus 2 or the positive ion of zinc plus what? Plus copper atom. Why? Because here we have the first one, it's oxidation. What's meant by oxidation here? It is loss of electron or losing electrons. Losing electrons here it means Zn atom lose 2 electrons and it change into positive 2 ion. And the second one, we have the copper positive 2 ion change into copper atom by what? By reduction. So here we have the oxidation reduction reaction. It means what? It means the two operations or two processes that happened in the same type of chemical reaction like this. Here in the same equation we have oxidation of the zinc. This zinc, it is what? It is change into positive 2 ion, and the copper positive 2 change into copper atom and precipitate in this beaker. After that, so what's the oil rig in the last time? we have oil rig. It means what? It means the oil, it means oxidation is losing of electrons. And we have the Zn, zero charge. Why is that zero charge? Because it's element, because it is atom, neutral atom. Change by losing 2 electrons into Zn positive 2, positive 2 ions of zinc. Why? Because it loses 2 electrons. مهم جدا أعرف أي element موجود عندي metal or non-metal that makes losing or gaining electron and they change into positive ion or negative ion. It's very important to know this. After that, zinc atom loses 2 electrons and convert into zinc ion and at the cathode. What's meant by cathode? Cathode, it means negative pole, and we will illustrate it after a period of time. After that, we have the second part, we have rig. Rig is what? Is reduction. Reduction is gaining electron. So we have the copper positive 2 change into copper 0 atom and precipitate. Why? Because it gains 2 electron during the chemical reaction. So here, mister, we have the copper ion gains 2 electrons. Yes, very good. We have the copper ion gains 2 electrons and they change it into copper atom at anode. What's meant by anode? It's positive pole of the cells. So here, this is the meaning of oil rig. And the meaning of oil rig, it means or related to the oxidation reduction reaction. It's good to see. Now we have another thing that related to what? Related to oxidation and reduction. So the oxidation here, it means what? It means the losing of electrons, and reduction, it means gaining electrons. So here we have a question: does each half equation of this one, this is the half equation, show the oxidation or reduction or not? So here we have the oxidation here, Mg plus 2 electrons. Here we have 2 electrons before the arrow. So it is gaining electron or losing electron. Very good, excellent. We have what? We have here gaining electrons because it's plus 2 electrons. So I put this here or here. Oxidation or reduction? Yes, try to make this. We have reduction. And after that we have Al positive 3. It is aluminum ion positive 3. And gain 3 electrons. It is like the first one. So I put it here, mister. Right. And here we have zinc positive 2 that make gaining of 2 electrons changed into zinc metal. So it is like each other. Yes, very good. Here we have the copper positive 2 plus what? Plus 2 electron also. So here we have reduction. But here we have 2 Cl minus. Cl, chlorine ion. This ion is negative 1. So it loses 2 electrons here to change into atom. So I put it here or here. Yes, mister, here we have here the oxidation. And after that we have the oxygen. I put it here also because they are similar to each other. If I have a correction, so we have what? We have all of them are right. After that, we have another exercise. Is each reactant oxidized or reduced? From the third preparatory also, we have oxidized agent or oxidizing agent and reducing agent. So here, which one is oxidized? Copper oxide oxidized or carbon oxidized? Here we have the copper oxide. It's an oxide and it change into copper here. So it lose oxygen. So it is oxidized or reduced. Try this. We have copper oxide, it is reduced. And we have carbon. Carbon change into carbon dioxide. What's meant by this? Carbon, it means what? It means oxidized. We have a correction here. It is right. After that, we have iron oxide and we have aluminum. Aluminum, it means a metal without oxygen, without anything here. So the iron oxide, it means oxidized or reduced. This is iron oxide, change into iron. And it is what? This is reduced, maybe. So we have the aluminum. It means what? It means aluminum oxide. So this aluminum is oxidized. Why? Because the aluminum here, it I add oxygen for aluminum to make aluminum oxide compound. So I have the correction here, so it is right. After that, we have carbon monoxide. It's very easy. Carbon monoxide, but here we have iron oxide. Which one that's oxidized and which one that's reduced? Here we have carbon monoxide and change it into carbon dioxide. What's meant by monoxide or dioxide? Yes, excellent. Monoxide, it has one oxygen atom. And here we have dioxide, it has two oxygen atoms. So I add some amount of oxygen or one atom of oxygen on the carbon monoxide. So it is what? It is oxidized. And after that we have the iron oxide, it is reduced. Why? Because iron oxide change into iron. Why it must be reduced? Because we have the reduction or reducing or reduction and oxidation process in the same time in the same chemical reaction. So we have the correction here, it's right. After that, so here we have the different types of cells convert chemical energy into electric energy. Through what? Through the redox reaction. Redox reaction, it means the oxidation reduction. That's all. That are what? That are. Number one, we have the galvanic cells. Galvanic cells, it is a type of chemical cells that produce chemical energy and they change it into electric energy. Again,
the two solutions are connected by a porous sodium chloride salt bridge that prevents the two solutions from mixing ions to migrate. Attaching the cell shows that electrons flow from zinc to copper. Because zinc is a more active metal than copper, it is more likely to lose electrons. For this reason, the zinc bar is oxidized. producing a zinc ion and 2 electrons per zinc atom. The copper ions in solution gain 2 electrons and are reduced to copper metal. As the reaction continues, excess positive zinc ions build up in the zinc solution. At the same time, the loss of copper ions from the copper sulfate solution creates an excess of negative sulfate ions. Positive sodium ions migrate into the copper sulfate solution from the salt bridge, while negative chloride ions migrate from the salt bridge to the zinc solution and maintain neutrality of the solutions. The reaction stops when the zinc bar or copper ions are depleted. The overall cell reaction can be written like this.
So here again, it's the electric cell, Daniell cell or the galvanic cell. It's what? It is an electric cell from which we can obtain the electric current as the result of spontaneous oxidation reduction reaction. As an example of Daniell cell, we have many examples of galvanic cell. The first one, we have Daniell cell. This is the picture that represents Daniell cell. What's meant by this? We have here 2 beakers as we see in the video, and we have 2 beakers, one of them that contains a zinc bar at anode or positive charge, and we have or positive electrode, and the copper as cathode. In what? In the negative electrode. So here we have these two bars that connected to each other by what? By a wire. And this wire connected to the voltmeter. Voltmeter here, yes, to find out what? To find out the amount of volts that produced by what? By these 2 cups. Or to calculate the voltage that produced by what? By Daniell cell. So here we have between copper and zinc, it's what? It is 2 types of metal that we use it. Copper inside what? Inside copper sulfate solution in blue color, and we have zinc sulfate solution inside the second beaker. Between them we have what? U-shaped tube that contains KCl. It's salt bridge. What's meant by salt bridge? Let us see this important about salt components and the importance of this one. Here we have what? Reduction at anode could be expressed by what? By the following equation. Zn0 give us Zn plus 2 plus 2 electrons. Again, oxidation reaction. It's happened at anode. We have it could be expressed by the following reaction or following equation. It is half equation because we have this reaction that's happened in the half cell, half of Daniell cell, half of galvanic cell. So Zn0 change into Zn positive 2 as an ion, as a positive 2 ion, plus what? Plus 2 electrons here. These 2 electrons, it's lost by the zinc and they change it into positive 2 ion. After that, second thing, we have what? We have the reduction reaction at the cathode. Cathode, it means what? It means negative pole or negative electrode of the cell. So it could be expressed by the following equation. Following equation, it means Cu plus 2 ion plus 2 electrons gains 2 electrons change into copper atoms, copper molecules that precipitate on what? On the solution. So here we have the reduction reaction at cathode that could be expressed by following equation. In last time, Cu positive 2, it means a copper ion positive 2 plus 2 electrons gains 2 electrons and they change into Cu atoms. After that, the flow of electric current between 2 halves of the cell is stopped when the zinc metal dissolve in zinc half. What's meant by this? We have the rod of zinc, makes a reaction with the zinc sulfate or the solution that found in the half of cell, half of this cell that contains zinc rod or zinc plate. So this zinc dissolve in this compound or this solution that called what? That called zinc sulfate. So this is the flow of electric current between two halves of the cell is stopped when all zinc metals dissolves in what? In zinc half. After that, we have the reaction in the galvanic cell contains any two elements. Again, we have any two elements represented by the following diagram. This diagram it's like this. مهم جدا أعرف أكتب إزاي diagram of any type of cell زي ما هنشوف النهارده وزي ما هنشوف في حلقات بعد كده. Zn0 it means the atom of zinc, and we have a bar, perpendicular bar or vertical bar like this. It means it dissolves in solution of Zn positive 2 ions. Solution of what? Zinc sulfate, zinc carbonate, but the best one is zinc sulfate. So here the zinc in the left hand of this diagram, we have Zn atom or plate that dissolve inside what? Inside Zn positive 2 ion solution. And we have two bars parallel to each other in the middle. So it represents what? Represent the salt bridge between them. The second half of the cell, we have Cu positive 2 ions, the copper ions that dissolve in the water, copper ions that dissolve in water as a compound of copper sulfate solution. That's what that found or dipped by what? By Cu atom. So here we have zinc that dipped inside what? Inside the solution of zinc sulfate, and the copper atom in the second cell on right hand, it's dipped inside what? Inside copper sulfate solution in a blue color to make this reaction. And between them we have the salt bridge. Salt bridge is very important to complete the reaction. Why? Because this salt bridge, if this salt bridge that doesn't found here, so we have no reaction, because there is no electric current or electrons that move in the air. So I must make connection between the two cells or two halves of these cells by what? By salt bridge. After that, what is the salt bridge and what's the importance in these galvanic cells? So here, what's meant by salt bridge and what's the importance of it in the galvanic cells? Here we have a galvanic cell. So the galvanic cell, it means NaNO3, this is salt bridge between the two cells here, two halves of the cell. So it make connection between them like this. So the connection here to complete the reaction between the two halves of the cell, cathode and the anode. Them, it's what? It's half cell. So the energy of the cell equal the cathode energy minus the anode energy. So here we have the hydrogen. It's what? It's the first one or first half of this cell. And the second one, we have the E cell here. It's the cathode minus anode. Again, we have E cell or energy that produced by cell. It's what? It's the energy from the cathode minus the energy of anode. And after that, we have Zn aqueous that make gaining of electrons change into Zn solid or metal, and between them we have NaNO3 in a salt bridge. Here the electrons of the electric energy that produced during what or through what? Through the wire. So the salt bridge, it makes what? It makes the connection between two halves of the cell like this. It is what? It is the other type or other half of the cell. It contains silver, for example. AgNO3, it's the solution that dipped inside. So the silver, it is the anode. So we have what? We have many things about this. We have any metal here that found here, it makes oxidation or reduction by using the salt bridge. So again, what's the salt bridge and what's the importance in its galvanic cell? Let's go to see. We have the salt bridge here. It's what? It's U-shaped glass tube filled with salt solution. Any salt solution, NaCl, sodium chloride, or what? Or Na2SO4, or sodium nitrate, or any type of salt, by which its ion don't react with the ions of the two halves of the cell, as well as with electrode materials. Again, نفهم الجزء ده كويس جدا. The salt bridge, it's the U-shaped glass tube. This is the definition of this salt bridge. Filled with salt solution, any type of salt solution, NaCl or Na2SO4, by which its ions don't react with ions of the two halves of the cell. So here, this galvanic cell or Daniell cell, the salt bridge, it is like the bridge. It's called the bridge, just like this. Why? Because the ions of each one of these salt that found in the salt bridge doesn't make any reaction between what? Between the two halves, or doesn't enter the reaction of each one of them. So after that, the importance of salt bridge. We have number one, it connects between two halves of the cell without allowing a direct contact between them. So here we have the two cells. We see the two cells in the Daniell cell or galvanic cell. We have the two halves, it's far from each other. They connect to each other by the wire, but we have a gap between them. So this gap, it's filled with what? With the half cells or the salt bridge. So it connects again in last time. We have the importance of salt bridge. It's connect between two halves of the cells without allowing the direct contact between them. After that, number two, it neutralizes both of the positive and negative ions which forms in the solution of the two halves cell. Again, the importance of salt bridge, it's the neutralize. It makes neutralization reaction. Neutralization, it means that it makes the acids or bases, it's neutralized in both of positive and negative ions which forms in the solution of the two halves of the cell. If any acidity that increase or any basicity that increase inside the two halves of the cell, so the salt bridge decrease or neutralize this part of reaction. Dear students, I hope to enjoy your time with us. شباب الثانوية العامة، نخلي بالنا دايما من كل معلومة بتتقال وكل معلومة بنشرحها مع بعض وكل سؤال بيتقال. أرجو من كل طالب مننا إن هو يراجع الدروس بتاعته كويس كل مرة ويحل أكتر أنواع الأسئلة اللي موجودة في كتاب المدرسة. Till we meet again, our friends, till we meet again.